Last week I posted about my van being done. It was not fixable. And then I posted another video stating that I was going to have it fixed. And the guy that was supposed to come out here and fix it, unfortunately, never showed up. So I decided I was going to fix it myself. Let me show you what's going on right now. So while I was trying to figure out what was going on with my coolant system, I noticed that the transmission cooler here was that I had, this is a replacement one, the one I had in here was absolutely trashed. It was steaming. I was having problems here. Also, my transmission was running hot, and it was just causing all kinds of problems. So I decided to replace this, and then, but when in the process of replacing this, of course, it didn't fix what was going on with the radiator, and I couldn't tell what was going on with the radiator at the time. So after I got everything put back together, I started running it, and I actually took it for a short test drive, and I got back home, and I realized I still had all kinds of problems, obviously, because, the coolant system hadn't been fixed yet. So this was done yesterday. Today, what I found out is that right here, this line right here, this white line is actually a crack in the tank. So the way I found that out was when this was running, this is cold right now, but when I was running this, I could squeeze the upper hose here, and it was actually squirting out of that crack. So obviously that's where the crack is. I was also having problems with my radiator cap as well. I took the old radiator cap off, and I realized it was rusted and bent and all kinds of stuff, so I just decided to replace that. Also, I was getting steam out the radiator cap yesterday as well. So what I'm going to do next is clean this and get this prepped. I'll show you what I'm going to use to fix this crack. So what I'm actually going to be using is this radiator weld for plastic tanks and radiator repair kit. It says it works on plastic tanks and metal surfaces, stops leaks, no removal required, and it's by JB Weld. So I've already started prepping this area. I've got to clean it now with alcohol and then put the JB Weld on. So I tried that JB Weld, and unfortunately that was a terrible product that JB Weld made. So this radiator is going to have to come out. As you can see, I've already got my cap off, of course the cross members off. I've got my bucket under there, and then this is my new used radiator that I picked up today. Already got all the hoses and everything off, and so now it's time to start draining. So van is put back together, as you can see, and it's running. Underneath, there's some wet spots, but there's a drip right there, but that drip is actually coming from this overflowing. On the driver's side, there's no drips, and that's where the crack was. All of the radiator hoses and stuff, no, those are fine. Yeah, that's just overflowing right there. That's where that dripping's coming from. There's about 2.5 to 3 gallons of antifreeze in here. I'd say probably more like 2.5. It's been running for about a half hour or so right now. I'm gonna let it run for a while longer, get some more of the antifreeze out and get some more of the bubbles out. We could check the temperature real quick. The air is not necessarily hot, but it's decent in here. Nobody's gonna freeze to death. And as you can see, it's sitting at about 1/4 right now. Temperature gauge is kind of going up and down a little bit. I'm hoping as the air gets out of it, that'll settle down. Anyway, I'll update you as soon as I can. So here's where things are at. I let the van sit there and idle for about 2 hours or so total, just to try and get as much air out as I possibly could. It seemed like the air, that the air bubbles had come out for the most part. And then I decided I was going to take it for a test drive, partly, obviously, just to see how things were working, and then also because when it was sitting idle, it didn't build up pressure. So after we got back, I parked it and I checked, and it had built up pressure. The hoses did get hot. There's no leaking underneath. And so what I'm going to do in the morning before I go anywhere is pop the radiator cap off, check the fluid levels, top it off if I have to. One thing I did notice while I was driving is that it never quite got up to temperature. The temperature gauge was still kind of going up and down a little bit, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. But for the most part, van's ready to go and I can get back to work. So up to this point, the things that have been replaced on it for the cooling system is the thermostat, the transmission cooler or condenser, and then, of course, the radiator. So that's where things are at. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.